What's up guys, Ramfizzle here for another episode of Depression Quest. I actually recorded all of this particular footage as one shot, and it just wound up being way too much for one video, so I cut it into two, and here is part 2 of my first gameplay experience of Depression Quest. I hope you enjoy it. It's a little after noon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. "So what's going on with you lately?" she asks abruptly. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden well-meaning but overwhelming inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or friends or anything like that, but all the same, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained and as though you're not really here. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the option that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you are feeling. What do you do? Let her know that you've been feeling down lately and that you appreciate her concern. Try to be honest with her anyway. Tell her that everything is fine and thank her for asking. Change the subject. "I'm okay, Mom, really. Thanks for worrying about me." Your mother looks at you from across the room with furrowed brows, and you wonder if the tone in your voice was the least bit convincing. She slightly opens her mouth as though she was about to say something more, but instead she digs through her purse for her cell phone, having apparently decided against it. "Well, as long as you're okay, honey," her voice trails. As your mother returns to what amounts to more or less small talk, you realize that this part of the conversation has happened a lot recently. Someone will express concern for you or ask if you're okay out of seemingly nowhere. You tend to find it simpler to just declare that you're okay than find the right words for complicated and murky feelings. Besides, since none of them are in reaction to a specific event, maybe you really are okay and just complaining about nothing anyway. Sometimes when you insist that you're okay to those who ask, you have to wonder if you're trying to convince them or yourself. It is a lazy Sunday morning. You are idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a coworker of yours that you're friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. Typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs a shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for him to ask you to come in on short notice when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. "How do you feel about cats?" he asks. "Mine had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. You don't have any pets, right?" It takes you a moment to process this new information, and you're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try to sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you had specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. "She's a real sweetheart, really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet said she's healthy as a horse. I could bring over by your place tonight if you're interested." You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him that this is all kind of sudden and you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. "Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all that since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I can do. I just don't want to have to put her in a shelter." You can't help but feel like you're being guilt-tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling so down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if they are fairly low maintenance. What do you do? Take the cat knowing full well that you can take great care of it? Obviously not. Decline, even though you'd be totally capable of taking care of it. You're not much of a cat person. Looks like we're getting more possibilities crossed off as we get more depressed. Become a cat owner. You can use the companionship. Decline, you're not in a good enough place to be taking on more responsibility right now. Decline, you don't like cats. Well, I like cats, and we could probably use companionship. You accept the offer of the kitten and hang up shortly after making arrangements for when your coworker can drop her off tonight. You're not entirely sure what to expect, and you spend the rest of the afternoon researching cat care online and trying to think of a name. The evening rolls around and you hear a knock at your door, startling you out of reading Wikipedia entirely too hard. You take possession of a small, terrified black and white kitten in a carrier, along with everything you need to start taking care of her. You take her into your bedroom, close the door, and open the door to the carrier excitedly. She cowers in the back of it, and you back off. Feeling slightly defeated, you remember what you researched on introducing a kitten to a new home and leave her alone to go mess around on your computer, hopefully checking over your shoulder every so often to see if she has come out yet. She hides inside her carrier, periodically making sorrowful cat howls long enough for you to start worrying that she already doesn't like you. But by the time you go to bed, she's curled up at the foot of it, eyeing you nervously before falling asleep. Over the next few days, you gain her trust, and she begins affectionately following you around, sleeping on you, and hopping up on you at any time you sit down to do some work. It's late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner. A bright, clear day is giving way to a still, temperate evening. You can hear your co-workers all around you anxiously making plans for their evenings and weekends, but you're really looking forward to just going home and resting after what's turned out to be a very long and taxing work week. Just before the end of your shift, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate the end of the week, and they want to know if you'd like to come along. You tentatively tell her that you're emotionally exhausted from the work week, and a social outing like that would just take too much out of you today. You encourage her to go and have a good time, since you know it's been a while since she's gone out with friends, but the effort feels futile since you know that she isn't going to go without you. A couple hours later, the two of you find yourselves in a familiar position, on the couch, watching comedy shows on Netflix, a box of pizza open on the coffee table in front of you. As you look across the couch at her, you start to feel anxious. You feel bad about effectively forcing the two of you to stay in tonight again, while you are always appreciative of your partner's efforts to take your feelings into account and help make sure you're socially comfortable. You sincerely worry that you're holding her back from enjoying a more fulfilling relationship. While she does seem to enjoy spending time with you, as the two of you sit comfortable, almost contented silence, watching old shows you've seen 2 or 3 times before, your ever-increasing fear that your relationship is becoming one-sided weighs more and more heavily on you. You feel more than ever like a burden or a ward to her, and it's virtually impossible for you to see what value you could possibly offer to her in return. Worst of all, this nagging fear has made you feel more self-conscious than ever, withdrawing ever inwards, and you've started to pull away even from Alex herself. What do you do? You know, despite the bad times, your girlfriend sincerely loves you. Relationships are a two-way street, and you resolve to always be there for her like she has been for you. Can't do that. Tell Alex how important she is to you and enjoy your evening. Can't do that either. Depression forces you into these two last options. Ask Alex if she's happy with your relationship, or don't say anything. You're already worried about her being upset with you. I always take the less needy way out, so I'm just gonna not say anything. This is far from the first time you would have had this conversation with her, and it's one that plays out the same way every time. You explain your fears of being worthless. She tries to tell you that she doesn't see you that way. You insist that she is biased or just being nice to you because she's your girlfriend, and she gets frustrated. It never resolves, nothing new is ever said, and rarely do you feel reassured by it. Occasionally she tries to broach the subject, trying to discover why you feel this about yourself. This always makes you feel nervous. You're sometimes convinced that the only reason she's still with you is because she doesn't know how awful you really are. As time has gone on, you've gotten more comfortable trying to express bits and pieces of your insecurities to her, but it still causes you to feel very on guard, and it's not a conversation you can have for too long without worrying you're going to scare her away. The weight of an unspoken, unresolved issue in your relationship joins you in the room for a little while, but you dare not pick at it for the rest of the night. Well, guys, that was the end of part 2 for Depression Quest, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I know it's not a particularly entertaining kind of video, but it's just something about the writing. It just really grips me and really interests me, and I think I'm going to do a full series of playing all the way through the game. So don't watch it if you don't want to, but I don't know. I think it's something that needs to be heard, I suppose. Anyway, if you would like to see more episodes of this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, comment, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.